Welcome to the Angel Empowerment Show from I Can't to I Can with your host, Cindy Smith, and co-hosts. In this show, airing every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, gain more insight and practical, intuitive tools to bring more clarity and purpose into your daily life. You can listen or be involved in live professional angel card readings on transformationtalkradio.com so you can heal, thrive, and grow in your life. And you'll experience it all with 4 of the best in the field. The Angel Empowerment Show starts now.
Well, welcome everyone. We are back live tonight on the Angel Empowerment Show on Transformational Talk Radio. I have my amazing co-host Nola Peacock with me tonight, and we're going to dive deeper. We've been talking about sensitive children, and we're going to talk about anxiety in children. And this is Nola's expertise. She works with children. She's seen an increase in anxiety. And so I'm going to let her take over here in a moment, but I'm going to remind you all this. Please call into our number, the 1-800-930-2819. On that last half of the show, we will be doing live card readings. You can also ask us direct questions. Maybe you have some questions about one of your children. Or on any of the social media platforms on Transformational Talk Radio, type in the chat your name and location for us to pull a card. So that is the last 30 minutes of the show. The first 25, we will be talking about anxiety in children. And so, Nola, this is your niche, and I'm just going to hand the topic over to you, my friend.
Thank you, Cindy. Well, I really wanted to dive into this and share some more tips about anxiety in children. As you mentioned, we had talked about sensitive kids, and so often they present with anxiety about different things. And I've just been seeing more and more kids struggling with anxiety. So one of the, things that I wanted to talk about first, though, is parents and, taking care of yourself. I think as parents, it's so easy, right, to be giving and doing. There's the cooking and the grocery shopping and laundry and picking up the toys and, and all that kind of stuff. And as parents, we often put ourselves on the back burner. And I think that, that can add to kids' anxiety. So, I would invite all the parents out there to put something in their calendar this week, and it could be, a bubble bath. It can be having a special cup of tea and just reading a book or an article or something, or listening to a podcast, right? Just taking some time for themselves. Because one of the things that, I've noticed is what a difference that makes for children when their parents are in a good space. And I can't tell you how many times I've worked with kids that have been feeling nervous and anxious about things. And, as we're talking, they start to share things about, being worried about money and paying bills. And, it's like, well, they're, 12 years old. It's like, well, that's not, not what you need to be worrying about. So it's obvious that they've heard, mom and dad or, parents talking about those worries or, overheard those things. So, that's the other thing, right? Is if you are stressed yourself as a parent, make sure that you're doing things for yourself to take care of that, because your kids are listening to you all the time. You might think that, when you want them to listen, they don't, but they are listening all the time. And so be careful what it is that you're talking about around them. And then I highly recommend you turn off the news, because that's the other thing, right? When they hear all of those things in the background, they pick up on that, and they're like little sponges. And then they carry that with them. And as I said, I've heard, time and time again, kids will tell me about things that they're worried about, and it has nothing to do with them. So that would be my, first big rant, I guess, is just for parents to, to first of all, be taking care of yourself. Because your kids worry about you. They know when you're stressed, right? And then also that's when they don't want to go to their parents and talk to them about things because they already feel like, well, they've got enough to worry about. And, I've heard that from my clients too. They don't want to burden their parents. And, and I know as a parent, like I always want my kids to be able to come to me. And that's what, I work on with parents, is helping to build that relationship so that, your kids will always come and talk to you when they're worried and share things so that you can, sit down together and brainstorm. And then, moving on to.
Can I just
Yeah.
can I just add something around the parent thing?
Absolutely, because you do work with the parents in
I
our
do.
workshops. That's your part. So yes.
It's remembering, we all know that our children are intuitive. And as much as we think we are hiding what's going on. So if we are stressed as parents, because it can be life. So this isn't that you think that you're going to be able to fix everything tomorrow, but what it's bringing in the awareness of, I call it what you're projecting. Okay. So intuitively and energetically, the children understand when we're off. When they'll, I can remember my children saying, when they're little, "What's wrong, mommy?" "Oh, nothing. It's great. I'm just thinking about something." So intuitively, they know something's off. Now, there's always that fine line. Okay, well, something happened at work and I'm just thinking about it, but it's going to be okay for tomorrow. It's giving them a little bit of, yes, I'm working through something, but I've got it handled. It'll get resolved. It's kind of giving them those positive outcomes and then changing up your energy. That is the, for me, that's the big thing, because when we are off, that's what we're projecting. And our kids, we all know, if we're hungry, if we're tired, if we're stressed, we snap. Like that's, if there's a parent that's able to hide all of that, well, that's great. But we've got to be aware of our own stuff because of our beautiful, sensitive children that pick up. And if you think that I never lost my temper, well, it would be a myth, because we are human. Nola and I are just bringing more attention to children that can be anxious and worry. It starts with us to make our change to help them, and just take baby steps, just like Nola suggests. What can you do to lessen the stress? And, pay the bills after they go to bed. Do the things that are stressful after they're out of ears and seeing and picking up projections. One of my suggestions. Nola, you want to add anything to that? With just, our kids are so intuitive. They know when we're off, no matter what they know without us having to say a thing.
They do. And then they often imagine, something even worse than maybe what's really going on. And I love that you said, like, we can't hide things from them. They know, right? And you can say, "Oh no, I'm fine." And then they lose trust, right? Because they're picking up that something's off, yet we're telling them it's fine. And so then they've got these mixed messages. So as you said, it's better to tell them a little bit. And you might say, "Well, I'm, as you said, I'm thinking about something at work, or and I've got it figured out." Or you could even say something like, "I'm going to talk to, maybe my friend, or I'm going to do this so that, I can get some help with this." So showing that it's okay to ask for help, right? And that you've got that support, but letting them know that, that you'll figure it out, or that, right, that it's on you, right? That they don't have to carry that, I think is really important. And then, and these things, the things that I teach to my young clients, it works for all of us, right? The different things. So, one of the first things, one of the easiest things that we can all do to relax is deep breathing, and we forget, right? I mean, especially if we're sitting at the computer and doing, Zoom calls or whatever, right? We're kind of hunched over and breathing shallow. And of course, if we're stressed, I mean, our muscles are tightened up, and we're not taking those deep breaths. So, and it's the same for our kids. So, taking and doing some simple deep breaths. And I mean, there's all different kinds of ways. I like to teach kids square breathing, and right, I get them to just picture a box, and they breathe into the count of 4 and hold for 4 counts, breathe out for 4 counts and hold for 4 counts, and then just repeat that. And I've had so many kids go, oh, that works, right? Because I mean, when we take those deep breaths, it signals our autonomic nervous system that we're safe. So it helps to bring that anxiety down. So you can play around with that with your kids. So you could sit at the dinner table, right, and be taking some deep breaths. You could pretend to blow out candles. When I worked at the children's hospital, that was one way. When kids were having procedures done, I would hold my finger up and say, pretend this is a candle and you're going to blow it out, and then get them to do deep breathing that way. Blowing bubbles, right? You can do things like that and make it fun and get them so that they're thinking about those deep breaths on a regular basis and taking them. And if you've got older kids, for teens, I mean, they've got their phones, get them to set reminders for deep breaths and maybe a drink of water, right? Just having those reminders. And also making sure that, helping kids with the mindfulness, right? Being in the here and now, right? And Cindy, we often talk about being in the here and now, and, stomping our feet. You stomp your feet and say, I am here, right? And just pull us in, because when we are thinking about the future, right? And what could happen, that's when the anxiety goes up. So helping your kids come back to the present moment. And there's all different fun things that you can do with the kids, having them spot maybe 5 things that are red in the house, right? Or what can you hear? And sometimes in our workshops we'll play little chimes and just get them to listen, and when does the sound stop, right? And then they're really focused in the moment. Cindy, do you have any other tricks that you've done with your clients?
I think when it's like you said, there's different ways to trick the brain. Mm-hmm. And because that's the key. And for parents that deal with children that have anxiety, it isn't easy to watch, because I have a child that deals with anxiety even as a young adult. And, for parents, we want to fix it, right? We want to make it go away. We want them to never experience it again. And so one of the things that I've learned, it depends on where they're, at what stage in the anxiety that someone is in. Because remember, it's to do with the brain. Your brain kicks into fight or flight and thinks that it needs to run. And of course, the body isn't running, so it's telling the brain. There's so many different things that are happening with anxiety, depending on the level of it. Mm-hmm. For us as parents, if you've been, what you've been dealing with your children with anxiety. And then it's creating things, just as Nola said, when you know that the anxiety is starting to increase, it's switching the pattern for them. It's taking a breath, coming up with ways to trick the brain to basically say they're safe. And that is, that is the key to bring back, I'm safe, I'm protected, I'm safe, I'm protected. Now, if you believe in angels like we do, then it's also adding in for children to remind them that they're protected. And they have Archangel Michael. I'm probably sure, Nola, you were going to probably talk about that, but it's getting children back in the now. It's really coming up with strategies to trick the brain, because when they go on full on fight or flight, and it can turn into a panic attack,
Mhm.
you're waiting it out. There is no stopping it once the panic attack has started. You're waiting it out.
Yeah.
And that, I can honestly say, is one of the toughest things to go through. Okay. And so it's remembering the tools as young adults, as teenagers, but we're really focusing on the children tonight, on how anxiety it's one of those things that has to do with also the neurotransmitters in the brain. And as parents, we just want it to stop. However, it's learning tools to deal with it and prevent it. It's both. Right, Nola?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so like I like to think of, helping them to fill their toolbox. So even, for my clients, I get them to, get a box, right? And put things in, reminders, because that helps, right? And especially if they can hold something like, a crystal, right? Or a bracelet or something that, that they can hold, or those, they've got all those different kind of fidget things, right? They can use those things. And then, the next thing that I was going to talk about was the angels, and helping kids, know that they can always call on their angels and help to remind them. And I worked with a young boy the other day, and so we talked about the angels and had him infuse the angel energy into his crystals. And so he was so proud to put his crystal in his little bag, and he was going to be taking it to school. And I had him just call in an angel, and he said, well, he could hear, it was like little chimes, he said he could hear. And I said, well, that's your sign that Archangel Michael is with you. And he said, yeah. And he says, I'm safe. I'm like, right. And that's totally like not me saying that first. That came from him, and him feeling that. And he would, he was so excited. He says, well, maybe I could get a bracelet too, right? Because just as that reminder. So that's another thing, is helping your kids to have all those tools at hand, and what is going to work best for your child, right? Because not everybody is going to, not all kids are going to want to carry crystals around, or right there, it's different things. But it's finding what it is that works for your child, and then helping them remind them, right? Finding ways that they can remember, because ultimately they have to learn how to handle it, right? As much as we want, as you said, Cindy, we it's hard to watch them go through it, and we want to just take it all away from them, and we can't, right? They need to figure it out. So having them, giving that control and that responsibility, and well, what do you think you can do, and helping them to put those things in place, and helping them to be successful, right? Finding ways to remind them. And I think that daily practice of having some mindfulness, or sitting and maybe just again asking them to call in their angel, or just doing some deep breaths together, or things like that. Get it so that it's in a routine for them, that they're doing it all the time. And then one of the things, as you said, tricking the brain, right? And catching, I think when they start to have those thoughts and start to worry, it's that awareness, right? Catching themselves, and then pivoting, switching or something. So sometimes we talk about those different voices in their head, and giving them a name, right? Just having the kids describe, what do you think that that voice is like, and and then going, okay, stop, right? And so for me, sometimes I will, in my head, I will hear stop, and then what I do, and what often works for my clients, is having a list of affirmations, or even one affirmation that they memorize, and that they can start to say and repeat in their mind over and over and over, to help stop that spiral of the worrying thoughts, right? And so Cindy, what are some of the things that, I know you're great at affirmations, what are some of the affirmations that you
Well, I think when we're wanting to tell our brain to get out of the fight or flight, even if it's in the beginning, it's any affirmation that I am safe. So the very first thing, and so I am owns it. And so for children, it's an affirmation that you can have fun with, but you make sure that the safety word is in there. So I am safe with my angels. I am safe at school. I am safe on the bus. I am safe with my friend. But it's really reminding them the safety word, because it's that core that goes into the unconscious mind that triggers the response to say I'm safe, to start to deplete the fight or flight mode and the increase of cortisol in the body. So for me, affirmations with I'm safe, and then make it fun for them to come up with ways. Like, it's all about, even when I'm working with the angels and affirmations for clients, I can be guided a statement that's going to assist the client. And then I will say whatever the angels are guiding, but then I always want the client to make sure it's in their language so that it's something that makes sense and resonates with them. And so it would be exactly the same thing with children. Depending on the age, then it's coming up with words that resonate for their age frame. The main thing is I'm safe. And if you can add in a now, like I am safe now, and get them to stomp their feet when they say it, that brings them back to the now. And then you incorporate those tools that Nola's already suggested, the breathing, different things that reminds them. Of course, kids, depending on the age, like really, when you're doing the workshop, you and Deb with the workshop with the kids, mm-hmm. They love it. It's like, I remember my niece saying, I don't want to go to school. I want to go to Cindy's angel school, and I think she was like 6 then. Mm-hmm. So they are so open to understanding that there's these energy angels that help them. They have no filters around that unless they've been told there's no such thing as angels. But otherwise, they are so open to ask for help. They're mm-hmm. a lot different than when we're teaching the adults.
Right,
Nola?
Absolutely. I know. That's why I love working with kids so much. They are so open. And well, yeah. And as I said, just recently working with this young little guy, and he said, well, I had an ancestor visit me yesterday. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, what was that like? And he said, well, I just felt this cold on my shoulder. And I think it was my aunt. And I said, well, do you know your aunt's name? No, but she's my aunt. And I said, okay. And she said she loved me and I'm safe. And I'm like, okay, perfect. Right. It's just this matter of fact, right? And and I love that, right? About working with kids. So, again, it's just, having those conversations, right, with them. And also I think it's so important when we ask them, like, what do you think? And like you said, what with an affirmation, have them help you come up with it, because you might think there's, oh, this is a great one. And, they may need to tweak it because it really needs to resonate with them. And especially as they get older. I know I've working with, a teen in the late teens, and sort of giving her some ideas, but it was like, it has to fit, right? And it was, she just wasn't ready to quite believe in herself that much. So she had to change the wording a little bit so that it really felt right with her. And she said, and it was too long, so she had to make it short. So it's important that we, that we ask our kids, like, what is it that's going to work? And then helping them be successful. So, well, how can, like, again, I often ask kids, well, how can you remember to do that? Right. It's like us when we're trying, to change a habit, do something new, right? It's easy to slip back and keep doing the same old. So, it's like, well, what do you think you can do to help remind you? Like, do you need me to remind you? Do you want to put a sticky note up on your, your bathroom mirror? I mean, now I think there's, we can get the markers that write on windows and mirrors, right? So they could write their affirmation on their bathroom mirror, and what a great way to remind them to say that affirmation, or ask your angels and put it on the mirror. And then the other thing that I encourage kids to do every day, twice a day, is what Cindy has taught as well, but doing the grounding and shielding. So having them connect with Mother Earth, and we've talked about that before, and then wrapping themselves in, I sometimes I call it their magic bubble or their shield, depending on their age. And that it seems like such a simple thing, but I've had kids who were being bullied every day, and I've taught them that in one of their first sessions, and then they've gone off to school and come back and told me that the bullying has stopped, or oh, that girl is being nice to me now. And and I mean, I'm still, I know that it works, but it's still like, wow, it's just so powerful when they protect their energy, right? Because we unconsciously we feel it, right? And so and kids are so intuitive, so they their classmates feel it. So I loved teaching them things like that.
Yes.
Anything else you want to add, Cindy?
Well, just, quickly, because we're going to go on break, but I think too, we've talked about that a lot. And when I work with children that are school age, how much more anxiety that they experience during class, just because they're picking up so much from other students.
Yeah.
And when I say examples, give me a friend's name that you're not best friends with, but just a friend in class, and they'll say a name. And then I'll say, well, how you can tell that Johnny's had a really bad morning and he hasn't said a thing to you. And they go, oh yeah, I can really feel it. So, they give me the heads up that they're highly sensitive feelers. So it's just having conversations, and you listen to the language that they use when they're describing what happens, because then what is their strong sense to protect them. So we got to go on break. We will be back, and please call in or go to the chat room. We would love to give some angel card readings, and if you have any questions for Nola and I. And Nola, we definitely have to let parents know, and for their children, how to be able to work one-on-one with you, and also about the Honoring Our Sensitive Kids program. So make sure we really fill people in about that. And okay, we got to go on break. We will see everyone. Once again, call in 1-800-930-2819. And otherwise, just type into the chat, and we'll see you in a few minutes. We are back from our break. We are live. We have been talking about anxiety in our children, quite an extensive topic, as many know, especially if you have a child that deals with anxiety. So we'll share a little bit more near the end of the show, but right now we would like to do some angel card polls. And Lydia, our beautiful producer that is here on Transformational Talk Radio with us every Monday, and she's been asking, and a lot of the time we don't have time. So we are going to start with Lydia tonight, and then we for sure can pull a card. So I will pull a card, and Nola will add. And Lydia, you're there live with us, right?
Yeah, I'm here with you.
Oh, there she is.
Hello.
Okay.
So blessed to have you, Lydia.
Yes.
I'm
So
just glad
what
to
would
be
the
here.
angels like you to know? So here we go. So you got creating a sacred space, Lydia. And so that usually when the angels come through with that message, creating sacred space is making sure that you have time in your space, right? Like right now you're in your studio space, which is, I'm sure, a bit sacred for you because you're there all the time. But it's making sure that in your home environment that you also have sacred space. Your team is wanting to give you a boost. How can they? It's like, well, do you meditate or do anything, Lydia, that allows you to have that time for self? What is it that you create for time for self?
So I don't often do a lot of that, which is probably why they're wanting to instill that in me. I kind of, whenever I feel I need it, I will, I'll stay home by myself and I'll usually like turn on a show. I will like journal sometimes when I'm having like a really bad day, but it's been a while since I've done that.
Okay. And so like, sometimes it's just getting out Mother Nature. They're really encouraging you to, it's that self-care aspect, but when they say creating sacred space, it's really taking that time that is for you. So how, we've just been talking about kids and taking a deep breath and different things that get you into the now energy. Take some time to create a space in your home that as soon as you are close to it, whether it's a chair, even if it's in a, you put things around you that lifts your, I call it lift and vibe, but it's creating a place that as soon as you get close to it, you go, this is me time. This is my time. And sometimes people do that when they go for a walk, but I'm really getting that they're really wanting to encourage you. Because they also say, I'm really getting into this for you, but they also say that the more time that you create just that peace for self, it will keep you on track. It's like, it'll keep you on track with your intuitive self. It'll keep you on track for following through on your goals. It's really taking that time to listen to self.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That feels very appropriate.
Nola, I've been talking on and on, but I literally see you. I get a visual of you sitting in a chair, and it's all like, it's beautiful. Like it's just this chair and it's this beautiful space. So creating something that makes you feel happy and safe. Nola, go for it.
Okay, well, I pulled a card from a different deck, and it's freedom. And there's this beautiful angel, and she's got her arms up above her head, and she's kind of leading by her chest. So what I'm getting is really listening to your heart. So along, with this self-care, but finding those things that really, really nurture you and that give you that sense of freedom. So whether it's going outside in nature or whatever. That's kind of what I'm getting. But finding those things that really, really fill you up and nurture yourself. It's time for you. And when you mentioned about journaling, I heard that you're meant to write a book. So
Oh.
So maybe setting up that sacred space and using that time to journal and write, and eventually it turns into a book.
Huh. Never thought of doing that. So
I'm just planting that seed.
I know. All right, we'll see where that one goes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and something I just hear these words, lead by example. So there must be other people that you care about that also aren't the best at self-care.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
That's a true one too. Yeah.
Okay, so lead by example is what I heard
Okay.
also from them. So thank you, Lydia, for getting us to.
Thank you so much, both of you.
Yeah, and that's your angel team at work. Okay. All right. So we have Mihai from Vancouver. Nola, I'll let you pull a card and then I will add to it. Thank you, Mihai, for joining us tonight.
Okay. So Mihai, I got the vibrational match. My child, you have the power to attract vibrational energy. Bring focus to the area in your life where you desire change. Ask for a vibrational match specific to the area of change. Perhaps you desire change within an existing relationship, new relationship, soul purpose, or career. Yeah, and what I'm getting, I think there's lots of shifts happening, really good things coming, that you've been doing this work, and yeah, things are, as I'm saying that, I picture these fingers, right? And you're just touching those things. So yeah. And your affirmation is, I increase my divine vibration as I ask to be in alignment with my vibrational match now. So I think this is, for you, it's just a reminder that you are doing the right things, and just, make sure that you are taking time each day to fill yourself up, nurture yourself and fill up your heart, so that you can do the work that you're meant to do in this world. Cindy,
what's the crystal on that one?
Ruby and
Ruby zoisite. Okay. Because the angels kept asking me the crystal. Mihai, the other thing that they're saying around the vibrational match is ground it. What it isn't need to be way up high vibration. It's like that balance of vibration with grounding and the higher level of vibration. Remember the simplicity of attracting vibrational match energy. And with the ruby zoisite, I love ruby zoisite because it's got the healing, the stone of the green in it, and then the ruby of the higher vibration. And it's really great for manifesting and healing at the same time. So think balance of the high vibration and the grounding when you are asking for the vibrational match energy into your world. Yeah, balance. Bring the Mother Earth and the high into one. It'll make it easier for you, because yeah, you know what the angels mean, Mihai. That's what they're saying. He knows. So I'll be quiet then. Okay. We have Amy from Kamloops. Welcome, Amy. Here we go. Yes. Okay. You have the gratitude card, Amy. I'll read the message from Archangel Shamuel, and then both Nola and I will get some extra for you too. But here we go. My child, take time in your daily activities to acknowledge your gratitude of abundance in areas of your life. Acknowledging abundance amplifies what you already have, and it allows it to grow. It's interesting because I get more of this as a confirmation card for you, Amy, that you are a grateful person. You do send out gratitude, and you have the balance of giving and receiving, is what they're telling me at this moment in time. And so for this card coming up, it's more of what it's really, you figured out gratitude. That I really get that you figured it out. You know it. Yeah, I mean, I even get from Archangel Shamuel that if you ever want to do a workshop on gratitude, you'd be able to teach it, Amy, because this is something and that you've learned. They say part of your children have taught you gratitude. And so that's very interesting that they're saying that also. So really keep what you're doing up, Amy, because you have that balance of giving and receiving, and the angels are really wanting to honor you for acknowledging it and knowing it and living it. So what a great card to get, and the confirmation, Amy. Nola, and I will let you know it's honey calcite, and the affirmation is, I value my spoken word as my truth and let go of outcomes connected to my honesty. Okay. Nola.
Okay. Well, I'm just getting that, that Amy, you're really, as Cindy said, you're really strong with gratitude. But I'm also hearing of it that it is okay, just the confirmation that it is okay to receive. Yeah. And I'm hearing balance too, just that, that sometimes if, you don't have to be grateful, I guess, like just, kind of like you were saying with Mihai, that balance, like not feeling, I guess, pressure on yourself to always be grateful. Just know that, if there's the odd time, I guess, to kind of let yourself off the hook. It's about being gentle with yourself. And then, as Cindy was saying, I'm getting that, sharing this beautiful gift you have around gratitude, that, yeah, finding a way to share that. And maybe that's where that comes with receiving, like being able to, right, to share that gift with others, but to receive something in turn. So yeah, doing a workshop or something like that is what I'm kind of getting, teaching that to others, because yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful gift.
Yes. Thank you, Amy, for joining us. And I know that someone reached out when they didn't know that we were recording on Halloween. We had a recorded, and they'd asked if I'd pull a card for them. And the angels just reminded me that. So can you pull a card for Julie? She's in Northern Alberta. And then I will send a message off to her saying that we pulled a card for her tonight live.
They're all wanting to fly out. Okay. Physical vitality. My child, your Mother Earth and divine vibration collaborate to bring an increase in physical vitality when needed. Your vitality reflects your state of being in your physical, mental, and emotional capacity of life. Physical vitality is equivalent to life force of all you are. And the affirmation is, I accept an increase of physical vitality now. Yeah, I'm getting that maybe you're having a little struggle with physical right now, and just this is a reminder to ask your angels to help, to guide you to what you need to do in order to feel your best and have that that vitality again. So just so again, asking your angels for that guidance. And if you hear, whether somebody shares something with you, or right, you come across something in some way, just notice, like really notice what comes up after you've asked your angels for that guidance.
And continue to trust. I hear continue to trust your body, trust the angels, and keep whatever you can do that motivates you with your physical at this moment in time. And yeah, continue to trust Raphael. The physical vitality, that's definitely a card pull for Julie. That makes sense because I know Julie. And so Julie, Nola pulled that card is just to remember that you're on the right path. Keep trusting. Raphael's got your back, and do what you can to keep that motivation and energy levels up. And I've got, if I would have had it, Julie's a friend, and she, talk about gratitude and receiving. She made me this most beautiful purple quilt. Purple quilt, and she stitched angels into it and dropped it off with a friend when I was in Saskatoon. And I'm telling you, it is the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. So thank you, Julie. And thank you for reaching out to get a card pull. And like I said, thank you, Nola, for pulling that card for Julie. So we have a few more minutes. Who else would you like me to pull a card for Lindsay and Drumheller?
Sure, that'd be great.
All right, Lindsay, card for you. And then we got to quickly talk about the upcoming workshops, etc. Okay, you have the Ready for Change, Lindsay. Okay. It's Archangel Haniel. My child, changes in the air. Focus on only positive as you accept change in your now and future. Embrace change as a loving cycle and stop from making change difficult. Positive manifestation is change. It's interesting because the words I hear, Lindsay, are honor change. Now that's like how, when I even try to go try on that honor change. Now that's an interesting message to get from the angels, honor change. And it could be that they want you to own the change and honor the fact that you're owning the change without the difficulty. But a very interesting, straight, direct, honor the change. So that message is for you, Lindsay. Something about, I'm just going to say it, honor the change, because that is a different statement that I've had them give to somebody. So it means something about change for you. Most of the time they'll say embrace the change, have the courage for change, but they're actually saying honor the change. And it gets much easier for you. Okay, so thank you, Lindsay, for reaching out for a card pull. Do you want to add anything to that, Nola?
I'm hearing trusting, right? That the changes that's it. I think the changes will have a positive outcome. It's just trusting your angels that they are guiding you in the right direction, and honor the change.
Honor the change.
Okay,
so Nola, we were talking about children, and thank you everyone for asking for a card pull or calling in. Nola, how do people book you one-on-one to work with their children?
The easiest way is to go to my website, which is nola-peacock.com, and they can book a free call with me, and then we can talk about the best way to support their child. And we've got another in-person workshop, the Honoring Our Sensitive Kids workshop in Airdrie, and that's on November 19th. And then in the new year, we have some online workshops coming up, and we'll also be booking some more in person. But do
you remember the date? Because I think it's already up on my website. cindysmithaep.com. And
Yeah.
what we mean by that is no matter where your children are at, because, I've got parents that have been asking in Saskatoon and Saskatchewan and, our followers around the world, it's a small group. You can have your children join Nola and Deb. We send the little manual for you to print out for them. We also send crystals, or we ask you to pick them up depending on where you're at. And also I do a parents workshop that is also, it's a recording that I created for all parents. And then after Nola and Deb are with your children, we do a live questions so that you can ask all three of us any questions. So we've had so much positive feedback doing this. And yeah, the power of thought is huge. That's my big thing with parents for children. So I dive into a lot of different skill sets for you.
Yeah.
So once again, live one in Airdrie coming up. What was the date, Nola?
November 19th.
And
And in January, I think it's mid-January, there's an online, but there'll be a couple, and we'll be scheduling more. And Cindy, as you said, the follow-up with the parents, after the kids have attended the workshop and they've also listened to your recording, it gives them a chance to try things out, right? And then come and ask us questions too, so that it really helps to set both you and your child up for success, to put these tools into place and really make a lasting change, so that they have less anxiety and are sleeping better and just feel more confident as well. So,
and book a free consult with Nola. Yes, highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. So thank you, everyone, for joining us on the Angel Empowerment Show, the live podcast on Transformational Talk Radio. We will be back next Monday live. Sam Bell and myself, we are doing, as I said, the power of thought and healing, with a little side on the side, quantum physics. So that's next Monday, November 14th at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Once again, thank you, everyone. Thank you for all your positive feedback. We are loving doing the Angel Empowerment Podcast Show.
Thank you for listening to the Angel Empowerment Show, from I Can't to I Can, with your host, Cindy Smith, and co-host. Learn to empower you with angelic guidance every Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific on TransformationTalkRadio.com. It's easy to tap into your divine self and trust in your angelic guidance. Let Cindy and co-hosts give you a loving push to explore your potential. For more information, go to cindysmithaep.com. That's cindysmithaep.com.